So I caught a bit of wind of that. Rachel is tired. It's a warrior class, so Shavasana will be delightful. Okay. Oh, bless you. So how's everyone feeling today? Is there anything going on today that might have changed? Anything sore? It's a pretty active, strong class, right? And we're going to be doing some sun salutations and that sort of thing. So I just want to make sure that everyone's feeling up for this today. No one's like, I'm crotchety today. This isn't going to work. No? Okay, that's always okay for the record. That's always okay. I'm pretty good at offering modifications as need be, making it a little gentler if ever you need, okay? So don't ever hesitate to ask. So today we're going to be practicing a warrior class. And I was thinking, like, what shall be our intention? What shall be our focus today? And obviously warriors as the asanas. And I got to thinking, what is it that warriors really represent, especially in the yogic pathway? And I think it's really appropriate. We're about to dig into the Bhagavad Gita, right? Because Arjuna, as a warrior, that's his role, and is to step up and do this thing that's really hard to do. He doesn't really want to do it, and he, and a warrior is not someone who is, always got that willingness, but they always show up and do it anyways, right? So I thought concentrated, focused energy on love and action, okay? Because that's the ultimate message in the Bhagavad Gita, is that by orienting our heart to love and being willing to take the action that we need in our life, those are the things that create a warrior. The battlefield of our own lives, we show up when we're oriented like that, right? With love and action. So that's going to be the energy that I'll invite us to cultivate today in our practices. Come on down onto your backs and let's start there with just a bit of grounding.
Becky, I need to run at like 8, so I'll just sneak out.
Sure. If you want to, yeah, you betcha. I'll try to give you a heads up so maybe you can take a couple of minutes in Shavasana and be balanced before you get out.
That's perfect, thank you.
Okay, so we're just going to take a couple of minutes here on our back, grounding and settling. So you can keep your knees bent if that's what you need to for your back, or you can let them come down to the floor and begin to settle in. I'm going to mute everybody, but you're always welcome to unmute yourselves and ask any questions that you might have. Maybe a couple big deep breaths in and some big sighs might feel like exactly what you need to give yourself permission to drop some of the energies from the day. Give yourself permission to arrive into this room that you are in, this moment that you are in. Come all the way in and lay all the way down. And for a few moments, let the breath travel naturally. As you arrive. Acknowledging how you are in this moment. The energies that you're present with. The sensations in your body. The emotional energy that you have today. The moving energies. And the energies that are more stagnant and still within you. Relaxing your body, relaxing into presence. Begin a few rounds of the 3-part breath. Breathing in lower, middle, upper. And exhaling lower, middle, upper. Use the floor to feel how the breath can move into the back body. Breathing into all the dimensions of the lungs, lower, middle, upper. Relaxing what needs to relax to allow this breath to move freely in the body. Releasing the pranayama. Bend your knees and bring your feet to the floor if they're not already, and step them just a little wider than the hips, so maybe even as wide as your mat. And begin a gentle rocking of the knees from side to side. Connect your breath and your movement together, and feel the sensations in your body as you move. Bringing the knees back through to center, step them so they're just a little closer to one another, just comfortable hip distance apart. And with an exhale, press your back down towards the floor with your belly. And with an inhale, lift the low back, spreading the belly wide. So it's a tip and a tuck of the low back. Exhale, round, and you press down towards the floor. Inhale, just let that belly broaden, open, lifting the low back off the floor. The hips stay connected, so it's just a tip and a tuck. And relaxing, just noticing where in space is your low back when you relax on the floor here. I'll invite you to take your arms out to your side, not necessarily exactly out at a T position, maybe more like a 45-degree angle to the body. And we're gonna just do the Kaya Kriya with the arms. So we're gonna inhale and you roll the arms open. And you exhale, you roll the arms closed. So bringing the palm towards the floor. Inhale, open, bring the back of the hand, even rolling the thumb open towards the floor. Exhale, roll the palms towards the floor. Now, the angle that you do this with your arms, that can be changed. So if it doesn't feel quite right at the angle that you've set your arms, change the angle. Try different angles and see if any of that you find a real sweet spot for the whole shoulder girdle. We want to feel a gentle squeezing, rotation of the shoulder joint. Okay, so it's not just a passive roll of the forearms. We want to bring that motion and feel it come up to the shoulder joint. And also to just work in a range of motion that works for your body. Like I know we've got some shoulder stuff going on in this class, and you're just gonna move in this really loving, compassionate way that is both full of ease and has effort in it. The next time that your palms are facing up, you can just relax into that position. Notice if you have the urge to change the positioning of your arms, and feel free to do that. We'll now move into a bit of a prayer circle with the arms from being reclined. So you bring the palms together in front of the heart. You're laying on your back. Inhale, bring the elbows to touch, which will mean the hands move over your head somewhat. See if you can bring the fingers towards the floor. Maybe they touch, maybe they don't. Peel the elbows open and slide the arms down along the floor, bringing the elbows back in towards your sides, and your palms will meet in front of your heart. Okay, so, and you continue with this circle. So elbows come together, fingers come over, perhaps to touch the floor, elbows open, and we slide the hands down, palms meet again. Just continue around in this circle. You can change the direction and reverse that circle. So you would take the arms for the fingers to touch overhead, elbows will come in front of the face, sliding down through the center line. Finishing up wherever you wish and just resting here. We're going to use a rolling bridge to warm the spine before we move into a full bridge pose or Setu Bandhasana. So with your rolling bridge, have your hands will be down beside your hips, feet are hip distance, and the heels will be planted underneath the knees. You inhale and lift the hips into the air as far as you are comfortable. And exhale, roll down like you're laying a string of pearls. You're just going to gently roll down. Rest briefly, and then lift the hips again. Maybe starting to walk the arms just a little underneath you. And then roll down, which means you'll have to move the arms. Just do that on your own a few more times. Rolling the spine down. Be mindful the knees are not flopping apart. And if they're falling inwards, that's the other thing to watch for. We don't want them to fall inwards either. Okay. Finishing this last one and resting briefly as we begin to prepare for a Setu Bandhasana series. So with the Setu Bandhasana, this first one, you're going to activate the arms, pressing the backs of the arms into the floor, okay? And then lifting the hips up, be firmly connected through the four corners of your feet, and perhaps you can walk your arms underneath yourself a little, maybe even clasping the hands to aid in that, getting the arms underneath you. Just breathing here for a few breaths in this bridge pose. Okay. It may or may not be appropriate to have the arms clasped underneath you. That is up to you. Okay, good. Just taking a few moments there. Please don't be turning your head from side to side in this posture. Feel the strength of your glutes and hamstrings. Feel the length in the hip flexors. Breathe here. And then mindfully releasing the hands, lowering down. Now you might be in need of a counter pose. So your choice would be to perhaps draw the knees in towards your chest and give yourself a hug. And you could also rock your knees gently from side to side. We're going to repeat this bridge pose, but it's going to be a butterfly bridge. So the soles of the feet come together and the knees go apart. So the soles of the feet are on the floor, or sorry, the sides of the feet are on the floor. Soles of the feet are touching. Now you won't be able to lift if your knees are as wide apart as possible. So, but you do want to keep your knees apart. You're going to find how far apart. Hands come down beside your hips. They will not come underneath your body in this one. Lift your hips up with the knees apart. And take 4 to 5 breaths in that bridge pose, the butterfly bridge. And as you are completed, those 4 to 5 breaths come down. And whatever might feel quite nice, I like constructed rest in this pose where the knees drop together and the feet are apart. That's my favorite counter pose after that one. So yeah, you bring the knees to touch and the feet walk apart and it's like the opposite shape. So nice. Taking your time to slowly come to your side and work yourself to a standing position. So take lots of time to come on up. All right. So let's do a wood chopper as a cleansing breath today. So if you need to, you can stretch out the backs of your legs a little, give yourself a little bit of that, but right, make sure that you're ready to forward fold. So if you're feeling like taking your arms way up in the air doesn't feel really good, you can just come up as high as is appropriate for your body today. And if you know that you're feeling a little dizzy or low blood pressure, please don't bring your head all the way down. You could just come partway down, okay? All right, so it's an inhale through the nose as we bring the arms overhead and a big ha, like we are chopping a piece of wood as we come down. So let's do, well, depending on how you're feeling, 3 or 5, okay? All right, so breathe in through the nose. Ha, 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 ha. Last one. And if you need to, you breathe in and out through your mouth to stabilize your blood pressure if you're feeling dizzy. Great. So come to the front of your mats and we're gonna go through just a traditional sun salutation A. We're gonna add the crescent lunge. So I'll just give you, if you can just watch for a moment. So you're quite familiar, we'll just do 1 half lift at the beginning. Then we'll step back. What we're going to do in this traditional one is drop to the knee and rise up, okay? And then we'll come back down, moving into plank and continuing on from there. So if you know that you have a bit of a tenderness in your knees, you might just want to keep a blanket at hand that you could tuck under your knees, right? You can just pull it under your knee as you step back into that, or you can always fold your mat over and create a bit of a doubled, so a little bit of cushioning. So that's an option as well. Now, if you're feeling like your shoulders are not real strong today, or you're feeling like you need something a little more restful, you can substitute the down dog with a child's pose, okay? All right, so we're just gonna do one round. So starting on near the front of your mat and just connecting to the soles of your feet, finding the four corners of your feet. If you like to have blocks or support for your hands in any way, just have those near at hand. Lengthening upwards through the crown of the skull, waking the body up, bringing life into the body in Tadasana. Inhale, bring the arms overhead. Take a gentle back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, step back with the right leg. Lower to the knee. That could be an exhale. And an inhale to rise up. Please keep your hips square. Exhale to come down. You can soften the knee to the outside and step back into plank. Plank can always be modified to knees. Pausing here. Knees, chest, chin, lowering to the floor. Inhaling, take a small cobra. Exhaling, pressing back towards down dog or child's pose. Taking a couple of breaths in this first down dog. You can walk in place, sort of wake up the body there. Now looking towards your hands, you can either step your right foot in between your hands or drop to the knee, step the right foot. Lower to the knee and inhale into this low crescent lunge. Keep those hips square, the low belly zipped up. Exhale to come down. Inhale to step the feet together. Exhale, forward fold. Inhaling, rising all the way up, taking a gentle back bend. Exhale, bring the hands to heart center. Inhale, sweep the arms up overhead, gentle back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, a half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, step back with the left leg. Lower to the knee. Inhale, raise up. Keep that low belly zipped up. Exhale, coming down, step back into plank. Pausing here. Exhale, taking your way down through 8-pointed pose. Cat and cow is just fine here, Jillian. A gentle back bend in a cobra, and an exhale back to down dog or child's pose. Pausing here. You might want to just lift the heels into the air and then let them drop down as far as feels comfortable. You can do that a few times. Stretch the toes out in this way. Looking towards your hands and either stepping the left foot in between your hands or coming to your knees and stepping the left foot in between your hands. Knee to the ground, inhaling up, crescent lunge. Exhale to bring the hands down. Inhale, lift and step the feet together. Exhale, forward fold. And inhale, rising up, a gentle back bend. Exhale, hands at heart center, just pausing here as you feel the blood flowing through the body, the warmth created there. Okay, so we're gonna go through some warrior series. So these are some new and major poses, so I'm gonna demo them for you. So if you'll just pause and watch. The first series that I'll demo for you is moving from crescent lunge to warrior one, and then into humble warrior. So when we move into crescent lunge, right, so we step back. If we're in a high crescent lunge, what we're doing is keeping the heel lifted, and that keeps this leg bone from moving in external rotation, right? So the hips are square, this bone here is square. Now when we adjust from this position into warrior one, what is happening is we're changing the foot to land it to the ground, okay? Which then means that this leg is now moving in this external rotation. So the hips are going to be almost automatically offset from square. So adjust your stance so that you're not stealing from any particular joint, including flattening the arch of your foot. You want to feel the four corners. So you can stay here. And we're going to inhale up into warrior one. Then we're going to take our hands either back behind us to clasp them like so, okay? Or you might have the room to do something like that mudrasana, like that prayer hands, reverse prayer hands. I do not, that doesn't work for my body, but this does. And we'll fold forward. Now the front knee might need to bend more and come into as an inversion, humble warrior. So we hang out upside down here. So Jillian, with the belly bump, the baby bump, right? This should hopefully work because you're coming down in between, like onto the inner thigh towards here, and just don't come down so far, right? Like obviously I think your belly is probably going to interfere to some extent, but the whole point is to get upside down a little, and then we'll come up. Okay, so humble warrior from warrior one. Okay, good. So come stand near the front of your mat, just pausing and feeling your body. Step back with the right leg first. Start in crescent lunge. So you can sort of sense for yourself, okay, here's square. I don't have to take anything from a joint to try to keep my hips square. Everything can be in this position. Then you're gonna adjust your stance to get the whole foot to land. And you're not stealing anything from the sole of the foot, from like the arch of the foot. You're not cranking into your ankle or your knee. It's all about your placement. Front knee stays bent. Zip up the low belly. So I want that low belly to feel like it's zipped up. Inhale, bring the arms overhead. Be evenly weighted between both feet. Front knee is bending, but we're not moving into a great big lumbar extension. So if you can sense, if you have a big lumbar extension happening, try not to take that too much. This can become a balance pose by tracking, bend the front knee just a little more, Diana, I think. And yeah, there you go, that's what we're looking for. Okay, so you might have to adjust your stance to protect that back. You can bring your gaze up to make it a balance pose. Exhale, bring the gaze back to neutral, and you can take the hands and clasp them behind you. You can do the prayer hands, or you can keep them at prayer in front of the body, whichever one you prefer. And then we fold forward, moving to the inner line of our thigh, letting our head hang heavy, bowing as the humble warrior. The hands can perhaps lift off the back if you're in that clasped hand position. Bring the gaze forward and start to rise up. Release the hands. Take one more warrior one. And exhale to release and step the feet together. Okay, just pausing there. Noticing the differences from side to side after doing one side. Stepping back with the left leg, bend that front knee. Okay, you can raise the arms up. Just sense how that feels in this very linear line. We've created a nice line. Zip up, so as if you're pulling your inner thighs towards one another. Zip, right? That's what I want to see, a little bit of, don't push the ribs forward. Let the heart lift without pushing the ribs forward. Changing the angle of the foot. You can release your arms as you adjust yourself here, so you can maybe even bring the hands to the hips, coming into warrior one. So feeling how you can get that foot to land, still maintain an arch, four corners of the feet, square the hips without trying to crank into your knees, into your ankle. Inhale, raise the arms up. Okay, bring the gaze up if you wish. Exhale to release. Bring the hands behind you to your hips or to the front of the body in Anjali. And we now fold forward into the inner line of our thighs. We're dropping to the inside, perhaps lifting the arms away from the back if you're in clasped hands. Try tracking that front knee forward a little more. Try to keep a little bit of space at the hip crease. Don't sink your belly into the hip crease. Ooh, that's so much more work. Surrendering to the divine will. Bring your gaze forward, rising up. Sweep the arms up into the air, taking one more warrior one. Okay. By pulling the inner thighs towards one another, we're activating the pelvic floor to create stabilizing forces. Right? We don't want to take too much from the lumbar spine. And then exhale to release. And inhale, step the feet together. Let's use an Ardha Surya Namaskara as a counter pose. So inhale, sweep the arms up into the air, gentle back bend. Exhale, forward fold. Let the head hang heavy. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, forward fold. And then inhale all the way up, taking a gentle back bend. And releasing. Okay. So now we'll move into a Warrior Two series. And I'll show it to you here. So we step back for Warrior Two, and we adjust our stance so that it's either heel to instep, that is the most linear plane, heel to heel, which would look like this. So I'll turn this way, maybe you can see it. Okay, which is going to make a little bit of room. The more we broaden our stance this way, the more room there is for that hip. So depending on what you need, we really need this knee to continue to track to the center of the foot and not be dropping inwards in this. So I'm going to be watching quite closely. So the Warrior series looks like this. We come into Warrior, ribs are stacked over top the hips, arm comes out, we'll pause in the Warrior Two pose, and then we'll look back because a warrior always knows what's behind him, is aware of the past. We look forward to the future, and then we take action by reaching the back hand forward, pull the bow. And then we'll do that a few times, okay? That feels quite nice. Then from here, we'll move into side angle pose, into a reverse warrior. So I want to talk about this reverse warrior for a moment, okay? So side angle pose, I'm quite confident we're familiar with this pose and we'll be able to come into this successfully. Always track this knee more, please. If we stay up, your bum pokes up. We need to create this nice, like your tailbone is just tracking down the back of your leg. When we come into reverse warrior, okay, back hand will drop, top hand turns up. It's not a back bend. Please don't use it like a back bend. Use it like a side bend. So don't move into that lumbar extension. Lots of people like to do this like crunchy thing. Please don't do that here. Just focus on the side bend portion. And we're gonna go through that a couple of times. Once we've done that, we shall then pause here and use this to enter into triangle. And that's how we'll finish this side. Okay? And then we'll come out and move to the other side. Okay? Okay, so stand near the front of your mat. Stepping back with the right foot to create the setup, the foundation for Warrior Two. So the back foot should be maybe parallel to the back of your mat or turn slightly in. And the front knee is tracking, so you should be able to see your big toe, second toe, and maybe even your third toe. Okay? Balance your body weight between both feet. So you're not leaning forward or leaning back. Ribs are right over top of your hips. Arms come out, reaching actively through both arms. Turn to gaze forward over top of your middle finger. Strong, focused gaze, knowing where you are going, knowing the goal, knowing the work. Softening the outside edges of your eyes so that you are soft and accepting in your focus. Look behind you. Know where you are coming from. Bring the gaze forward. Know where you are going. Bring the back hand towards the front as if you're pulling a string on a bow. Pull back, taking action in your life. Back to warrior two. Let's do that one more time. Gaze behind you. Know where you are coming from. Gaze forward. Know where you are going. Reach that back hand up. Pull the string. Take your shot. Back to warrior two. Changing the angle of your waist and opening the chest to the side, perhaps bringing your elbow to your knee. Track your front knee forward more. It'll feel good. Reach out over top the ear. Really use the strength of your legs to support you here. Yes, you can keep your hand at your waist. Lots of different things to do with that. Okay. Inhale back to warrior two. Keep these legs, keep that front knee bent. Okay, back hand drops to your thigh, top hand opens up. Inhale, opening into reverse warrior or exalted warrior. Keep it a side bend. Feel it as a side bend, not a back bend. Back to warrior two. Let's do that one more time. Side angle pose, deepening into the knee bend as you need. Inhaling into warrior two. Ooh, it should be burning by now. Back hand drops, top hand turns up. Inhale, open into exalted warrior. You could gaze up towards your hand if that's good for your neck. Giving praise where it's due. And back to warrior two. We're gonna come now into side angle. Set yourself up well in side angle. Turn the top hand so it's reaching towards the ceiling, or you can keep it on your hip. And slowly straighten the front leg. Letting your hand either be supported on the leg or floating, or maybe, just maybe, it might touch the floor. For many people, it does not though. And then lift that top hand towards the ceiling to draw you up. Warrior two again, last one. Swing that top or back arm forward, coming into lunge. Change the angle of your foot. Inhale to step the feet together. Exhale, forward fold. And then inhale, rising up, taking a gentle back bend. And ending up in Tadasana, where you can sense the differences from side to side. So stepping back now with the left foot, creating warrior two on the other side. So when you go to bend this front knee, watch that you don't lean forward. Shoulders are staying over top your hips. And you adjust your stance, heel to instep, or maybe even heel behind the heel. This is the key. Balancing your weight well between both feet. Gaze out over top the middle finger, the front middle finger. Your drishti, choose a spot to place your eyes. Look at it intently and also softly. Concentrated energy that is also soft and accepting. Look behind you, know where you are coming, from where you are coming. Look towards the front, know where you are going. Back hand will come and reach towards the front as if you are pulling a bowstring. Pull, take your aim, take your shot. Back to warrior two. Look behind you. Look in front of you. Pull the bowstring. Bring that hand forward. Pull it back. Take your shot. And back to warrior two. Changing the angle of your waist, deepening into that knee bend as you need. Elbow can come to your thigh, and maybe your hand stays on your hip, or maybe it reaches overhead. Breathe here, a few breaths. Back to warrior two. Back hand drops to the thigh behind you, top hand turns up. Inhale into exalted warrior. Focusing on it being a side bend. Back to warrior two. Side angle pose, Parsvakonasana. Deepen that knee bend, track it forward. Create this strong line of energy from the tail to the heel. Warrior two. Into exalted warrior. Praising the divine. And back to warrior two. Last side angle to take us into triangle pose. So we come into this. Good, good. Arm can reach up if that's appropriate for your body. Straightening the top leg, supporting yourself if you wish. Okay, or floating. Maybe your hand easily comes to the floor, mine does not. Inhale, raise up. Ooh, last warrior two, last one. And then swing that back arm as you rotate into lunge. Inhale to step the feet together. Exhale to forward fold. Inhale to rise up. Take a gentle back bend. Exhale, hands to heart center. Pausing here, feeling the effects of the practice in your body. Okay. All right, last series. So this is we're gonna have a twist added to this. So if you're a little like me and have short arms and, just in the spirit of, practical exams, I'm gonna show you how to do this with a blanket, folded blankets instead of blocks. So you can just have folded blankets near you. So just watch for a moment. So we're gonna step back into crescent lunge, and we're gonna use crescent lunge as the warrior one here. And then we're gonna come down into a lunge. Now, usually in a lunge, we need to lengthen our stance and bend the front knee more. Square your hips here, and then you can use, so it's my right leg that's back, my right hand could either be to the floor or to my blanket, so it could be on a fist. And I'm gonna twist from the belly. So, Jillian, okay, you're not going to twist. You could twist the gaze, you take the gaze, but keep your belly down. And you can also do this in a more wide position, right? So you're here, and it would just be a gaze through this way. Okay, so twisting here, then we'll come back, and we'll come up. We'll have to shorten our stance as we come up, and then from here, we'll take Kali Mudra, if this is appropriate for your arms. So take them overhead in Kali Mudra. And what we do now is we make sure that we change the angle of our back. So as if I'm really creating, like, as if someone's tied a plank from my heel to my head. So if I'm in this position, that plank wouldn't work, right? It's here. And I'm gonna rise up into warrior three. And I'm gonna be so laser focused. And then I'm gonna float back. And then we'll release and do the other side. Okay? Okay. Okay. Whew. Getting hot. Jillian, this is a good thing too to have as a chair, because then it'll, you know, I don't know what your energy's like and what sort of room you're feeling like you have. Like baby bump is definitely growing, right? Because you can do it from here, right? And have that extra support. So that's a nice option if you want. Okay. All right, standing near the front of your mat, if you're gonna have anything underneath your hands, and you can use a block if you have one or what have you.
Becky?
Yeah.
Sorry, in Warrior 3, is your knee bent still or is it straight?
That's a great question. And what I'll say is, how about a micro bend? And then so the tighter our hamstrings are, the more the limitation is in this motion, like, because it's the hamstring that stops us here. So if you wanted to try to come and fold forward more without breaking at the hip, you bend the knee more and you'll find some room. And then you could work towards straightening without opening. So that's as an option for sure. Good question. Okay, so standing near the front of your mat, taking a couple of breaths there. Getting grounded. All right. Stepping back with the right leg, crescent lunge to begin. So it's a little bit shortened to keep the hips square. And we want to zip up that low belly as we raise our arms overhead. Exhale, bring the hands down to the floor and lengthen your stance to come forward, to be able to track that knee forward into lunge. Okay, so you could place something underneath your right hand, a block or blanket. Left hand can come to your knee. Okay. All right. Now, if it's appropriate for you, you can begin to twist towards your thigh. Please don't droop through the right hip. You're just twisting towards the thigh. Breathing here. Maybe raising that top arm up if that's appropriate for your body. Exhale to release. Gaze comes down. Shorten your stance as you need to press up into crescent lunge. Taking the arms overhead, perhaps in Kali Mudra, that's as optional. Okay. Now, do a little bit of micro movements with that lumbar spine until you figure out, okay, if I had a plank tied to me that made me so strong, here's the angle of my back. And then we tip our weight forward, floating the back foot off. Press through the heel as if you're pressing that heel into or foot into a wall. Try not to open the hip. Breathing here, laser focused concentration. And then try to float back down. Woo-wee. Step the feet together. Pausing, taking a breath here. Let's do the other side. Inhale, step back with the left leg. Take the arms up, square the hips, zip up that belly. Exhale to take the hands down to the floor and lengthening your stance as you might need, okay? So that now if I was in the classroom with you, I'd be coming around and checking your hips, right? To make sure that your hips are not as akimbo. So you wanna make sure that you're zipping like those inner thighs coming towards one another, often does the trick. Good. Left hand to the floor, right hand comes to the knee, and if it's appropriate for your body, turning the belly towards that thigh, raising the top arm up if that's appropriate for your shoulders today. Breathing here. Slowly releasing, adjusting your stance to be able to rise up into crescent lunge. Okay, if it's appropriate, you can take Kali Mudra. Okay, and square the hips. And play with those. These are like little nourishing micro movements that help to build proprioception. Where am I in space? So do those little movements of like, okay, here is where I am now strong. And then we float up. Okay, we want the back line of the body to continue to fire. So see how it feels to press through that heel. And try to float that foot back down. Oh, one last crescent lunge. Release the hands. Inhale, step the feet together. And let's do one half sun salutation to balance out the body. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen the spine and half lift. Exhale, forward fold, and instead of coming up, let's sit down. Oh, right? So Rachel, we're about to do sort of like a cooling down sort of set of movements. You're welcome to just take like a few minutes in Shavasana. It'll be way better to do that than to skip Shavasana entirely, okay? So go ahead and do that for a couple of minutes while we were doing this. Awesome, okay. So you should feel nice and warm now. I had to open the doors, that was hot. Okay. Let's come into Janu Sirsasana. So bring the right knee in, or foot in, and place it against the inner thigh. Now, if you are feeling like your sit bones are really sucked underneath you, whoop, you're looking a little like that, feeling a little like that, having a little height under your hips might be useful, just a little, enough to sort of provide that wedge under the back of the sit bones there. And if you have a hard time here, you could also use a little something to support underneath this knee, okay? Something like that. Pressing out through the long leg, try to make sure that you've oriented the bones of your legs generally upright, okay? Now, sometimes, I know for me, I don't know if everybody else will feel the same way, but I feel like I have to turn to face my front leg, this long leg. So if that's you, right, you can do that. You want to sort of start from here. You can raise the arms up overhead, and if you want, you can take Kali Mudra. And without rounding through the upper back, fold forward just as far as you can. And you're reaching through those hands, reaching, reaching, reaching. Should be a really strong core activation happening right here. Yeah, we're not folding forward yet. We just got this hinge happening. And then we'll let the hands come down to wherever they land, and the back to soften as we soften into this posture. So we don't need to round deeply. We don't have to try to make anything happen. We're just softening. If your hands easily reach your feet, you could reach out and take a hold of your feet if that happens easily without strain. If you notice that one shoulder is dropping closer to the floor than the other, that's a little bit of compensation. So back yourself out until both sides of the chest are equidistant to the floor. Inhale to rise up. Let's switch the legs up. Okay, you want to find that nice neutral position, but a firmness below the navel. Inhale, arms rise up. You can take Kali Mudra. So we create this really strong core. Draw the shoulders down, engage, and then we just hinge as far as we've got, which might not be a whole lot. So we've got to turn to face that long leg. hinge. And we're just gonna pause there. We're like so strong. Everything is working. Breath is steady and even. And then we exhale as we slowly release the hands down. And as you soften forward, try to have that chest dropping equidistant. So we're not dropping the outside shoulder faster. And if you can easily reach your feet, then you can reach out and take a hold of them. It's not a goal, it's just there. Slowly rising up. Just to balance that out as a counter pose, let's bring the soles of the feet together. And just folding forward gently through the midline. Softening, letting the head drop a little. And rising up. I'd like to teach a twist that I've been thinking about for Jillian, because some of these, eventually these reclined twists are gonna feel not super accessible eventually, right? Like laying on your back. And technically the reclined twist Jatara Parvritanasana is maybe in a gentle way would be appropriate for pregnancy, but the further you get, the less appropriate it is. So I love this as a reclined or sort of a resting twist. And so we'll all do it together. So what you'll want to have is something for underneath your head so that there's a little bit of space on your shoulder, okay? And then the other thing that you'll want, and if you have bolsters around, great. Otherwise, you can just use blankets or different pillows. And just watch for a moment, I'll show you. So we come down into this, and the top leg comes up, and the bottom leg is straightened. And so if you need to, Jillian, you can start to have like things to tuck under your belly so your belly feels really supported. And then to come into the twist, what you actually do is take your hands and stick them into the waistband of your pants, okay? And you can walk this shoulder out a little bit and just sort of let this chest or this shoulder drop back. And it's this really gentle, lovely twist. And I'm gonna recommend that we do it that way versus trying to hang in this position, because when we're hanging in this position, there's inadvertently tensioning that has to happen in the spine. So if we just do this as just a gentle sort of thing, you can relax really deeply into this. It's not a big twist, it's a very restorative twist, okay? So let's try it together. So come down on your sides. Namaste, Rachel. Take care. Okay, and have something underneath your knee, and you may or may not need it, right? Like you can make it less or more until you find like, where is that? The bottom leg is straight, and please make sure you don't move into lumbar extensions. You're not getting a booty butt. That's not happening. Tuck your top hand into the waistband of your pants, and then just let that shoulder drop back. Okay, just wherever that feels really nice. For some folks, you might even, if I was there with you, I'd be tucking things for you to lean into, lean back into, but I don't have the ability to do that. But if you feel like you want something to lean into, you could also put a bolster or pillows behind you. take your time to sort of make sure you get right back onto your side, and then perhaps roll to your back and roll over to the other side. Bring your props with you. And the bottom leg then is straight. The top knee is hitched up towards the shoulder and supported to whatever height feels quite nice for you. So you can try different heights until you find a sweet spot. Tucking that top hand into your waistband and then just rocking the shoulder back, right? And the point of putting the hand into the waistband is so you don't have to work to keep the hand on your body. So if you prefer not to, that's just fine. If you find that you need some support behind you, you know, like you're finding that you want to just tuck a blanket or a pillow and put it in behind your upper back so that you can sort of like have something to lean back into, that can be quite nice. Just staying on your side too in this pose without the add of the twist is so delightful. So if the twist isn't jiving today, then you just stay where you are. You're welcome to practice your Shavasana in this position, also known as, I'm going to pull up like Garbhasana, I believe. I think Garbha means womb or comforting pose. So you're welcome to stay here on your right or left side. I believe that there is some guidance for pregnancy. I believe you're supposed to stay on your right side more often in those deep, deep breaths. So I'm not sure though. And then if you wish, you come to your back for Shavasana. And that's always such a lovely neutral place. So whatever is most appropriate for you in this day, you can tuck a bolster underneath your knees or blankets, maybe a blanket under your head, anything that will allow you to be deeply restful for Shavasana. It's a lovely place to observe the effects of the practices in our body, to rest deeply. start to become aware of everything above you, all the energies of the front body. Oh, that's space between you and the ceiling. Being aware of everything above you, all the way through the sky, to the atmosphere, and beyond. Become aware of everything below you, behind you. Sensing the floor upon which you're resting and the back body. The foundations of the home you're in, the earth below, and the many layers of the earth. Maybe even sensing the spinning nature of the planet upon which you are resting. Sense the right side of your body and everything to the right of you. The things in the right side of your room and everything that carries on beyond that. What rooms are off to the right? Imagine everything that continues off to the right in your community. Everything that continues on off to that side of your body. Begin to consider, perceive everything to the left side of you, left side of your body, everything to the left side in the room, and everything that continues on and on to the left of you. Become aware of everything all around you. Behind you, in front of you, to the sides. Begin to contemplate the space that you reside in. Notice the shape of your own body. Like an object displacing water, our body is taking up space. Become fully present into the space that you are. Let the space of yourself dissolve into everything all around you. Sense the interconnectedness of you and the whole. Know that the sense of separateness is made by the mind, and the soul knows that it is one and the same with all things. Like a wave returning into the ocean, let the space of yourself and the space of all that is around you become one space. Gently deepen your breathing. Letting your mind return, your awareness to return to the senses, to the feel of the breath moving the body. As you return to the waking self and body sensation begins to return, you can wiggle fingers and toes and have a stretch. Taking your time to come to your side. Your right side is nice at this time of night. Taking several breaths on your side before you begin to rise. Just taking a couple of breaths in a seat to just ground and center and be present for a few more breaths. If you wish to bring your hands into Anjali Mudra, I'll invite you to do that here. We'll conclude our practice with an Om. Breathing out, breathe in. Om. The reading today is from the Bhagavad Gita. When thy mind, that may be wavering in the contradictions of many scriptures, shall rest unshaken in divine contemplation, then the goal of yoga is thine. Namaste. Wrong way, right? I'm looking at you over here. Cancel the spotlight. All right. How are you feeling?
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah, feeling good?
Good, that's really nice.
Good. Good, good.
I'm ready for bed.
Lots of yawn, so that's good. We're not too wide awake. Right?
Not even close.
Good, good. Don't want to leave you all like as you leave, so that's good. Any questions about the practice tonight?
I'll just make a comment. I really enjoyed the Yoga Nidra. I thought that was really, really fantastic. I really enjoyed that.
Good, good. Glad you enjoyed that. Okay, guys. Have a wonderful evening. I'll remind you about the kids yoga at 9:30 on Thursday. So the link is in the Facebook page. So if you care to join or bring a little, it's lots of fun. So you're welcome to do that. And if anybody wants to stick around and have a conversation about kids yoga, we'll do that afterwards for a bit. So if that plays out, great. And if it doesn't, that's okay. We can still have a kids yoga conversation at another time, of course, too. Okay. Okay, guys. I'll stick around if anybody wants to stick around privately, a little more privately. But otherwise, you can take off if you're ready.
Thanks, Becky.
Maybe
Good
we
night.
got-
Night, everybody.